Awesome, guys. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for taking the time today. I know everyone's schedule is very busy here at Permissionless, so really do appreciate it. Maybe let's start off with some introductions of each of you, and maybe tell me a little bit about your individual stories, how you got into Web3.
Great. Hi, my name is Kevin. I'm one of the co-founders of Polemos. My background is in venture capital and private equity. So I've been in the venture space for circa 15 years. Originally, I was a founder. I built and sold a couple of businesses and ended up on the buy side in private equity because of the acquisition of one of my businesses. So we got into Web3 around 2015 when we saw a group spin up in Hong Kong called Kinetic Capital. And then they started sort of launching ICOs end of 2016. And from there, it's been ever since. We sort of got deeply involved in it at that point. Today, we represent a number of different funds in crypto, and we're the co-founders of Polemos.
Thanks for having us today. I'm Wilgenbus. I'm the CEO at Polemos. I've been in this space for more than 2 years now. My background is originally in finance and general management. I've been working more than 15 years in tech and digital company. I crossed the path of Polemos 2 years ago, and I really enjoy the project that the guys were building. So I decided to move with them, and we started the journey. I started the journey at Polemos as a CFO, and I took up new responsibility 4 months ago as a CEO as well. Thanks for having us.
I guess, what is Polemos? Like, what's your guys' mission, and what are you guys trying to accomplish here?
We're trying to solve, I will say, triptych. The first part is to take out the complexity of Web3 games. As of today, you really need to be a crypto techie savvy person to sometimes navigate into the different ecosystem and websites. And we're trying to create an ecosystem where you can, just log in with the user and password, and just in a few clicks get access to the asset that you want and play and enjoy the games. We believe that, players in the Web2 systems, they come here to entertain, to have fun, and therefore it has to be as seamless as possible. Second thing is we're also trying to generate game awareness. A lot of people doesn't know Web3 games yet, and we want to funnel them in our ecosystem and show them what's the fun of playing Web3 games. And the third thing is we have been working on developing a whole set of functionalities, which we can speak a bit more later on. This functionality aims to enhance the games and user experience in the ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, if I take it back to where Polemos was ideated from, there's 5 co-founders in the business, and we kind of missed the original Web3 sort of NFT craze, right? So we missed the Bored Apes and the Rocks and the other things. So in 2020, by the end of 2020, we had gone pretty heavy into gaming. We looked at the plethora of assets that we'd acquired in those investments, and what we started to think about was how are we going to actually play those assets, right? We had 1,000 monkeys from Monkey League. We had planets. We had, all these different types of assets. And so really what we looked at was how do we facilitate putting those assets into the hands of other players? And so when you look at that was effectively a guild, right? So how do we put all these assets, using the monkeys as an example, how do I transfer those monkeys into the hands of somebody in a developing country that may not have the money to be able to pay for them, right? And so the further we looked at that problem, the more we realized that it wasn't possible to do with the tech at the moment. And so what we thought about doing was, okay, well, how do we build the stack that's going to be required to facilitate non-collateralized lending? So how do I give an asset from Alluvium to somebody in Bangladesh who really is going to want to play that asset day in, day out without them having to put up collateral? And that was kind of the foundation thesis as to why we built the stack that we did.
In terms of for games in particular, with in-game assets, it's something that for a long time has been, for a lack of a better word, very stationary. It's not something that's been very liquid. You play Halo or Call of Duty and you buy a map or you create a character or buy a gun. That doesn't transfer. You can't do anything with it. Like, gaming is a very locked ecosystem. It has been for a long time. It's very interesting with blockchain now being able to take that and build a whole new ecosystem, one that actually can have its own economy. and be reused and tradable, and that you can actually extract value from. Is that kind of like the direction that you guys are thinking of going, taking some of those things that are historically static and making them, something of value now?
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the core theses behind, I guess, we call it asset ownership, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now with the immutability of assets on the blockchain, you have a truly defined owner, right? And so with the Polemos wallet, right, it's an asset management wallet. So what you can do is, let's say, for example, you start playing Alluvium, right? And, you capture alluvials like you do with Pokemon, but you capture a whole bunch of them. So you only need 5 of those assets to play in the auto battler. And so it's highly likely that if you're playing the game a lot, you're going to end up with excess assets. So what do you do with those assets? So utilizing our infrastructure, you can then basically keep the 5 that you want to play with in the auto battler, but you can stake the remaining 20 that you're not using and put them into a pool so that other people worldwide can borrow your assets and then use them in game. And using the same wallet, you can keep those assets staked. And let's say, for example, you want to move from Alluvium and the next month you play Futureverse. Mm. Well, you can then have your assets staked in Alluvium, right? And people playing there, and you're earning a yield on those. At the same time, using the same wallet, you then open up the Futureverse game and you can start playing that game as well. So it's one sort of a wallet and one asset management platform where you can play multiple games and stake multiple different assets across multiple chains.
We'll be looking at adding some functionalities in our marketplace where for each asset that is available there, you will have descriptions of all the use cases that you have into different games. So we're moving the topic away about a bit interoperability of assets. But we do expect that in the near future, the asset will be able to be used in different games and different ecosystems. So by being game and chain agnostic and coming to our ecosystem, you will be able to see assets and how you can best use it in different games and different ecosystems.
What chains do you have incorporated already? Because I know you said multiple chains. Just kind of curious which ones.
So we have Polygon and Immutable, but we are looking at integrating more chains where there is a AAA games, a good games, then we'll be integrating the chains that go with it if it's not already in our platform.
And then I saw you guys had a particular platform called Forge platform, right?
Yeah, exactly. So really the Forge is designed for players and for games. That's where I would say players and games meet. There is a full set of functionalities that will be made available soon. We're starting with the lending and borrowing of assets, which Kevin just spoke about. But the goal is from the players to come in the Forge and really to look at the asset he would like or stake the asset he has been winning or minting in different games. And if he wants, play the game A, play Illuvium, get some asset from there, sell them or stake them. He might get some rewards from the games. He might want to swap these rewards for another games and then enjoy that games and discover it and see if he like it and everything. So we really want people to be able to perform a full set of actions without having the need to go out of this ecosystem. So it's as seamless and easy as possible.
So I imagine, for this to work, obviously you have to work with a lot of actual games. What are some of the partnerships that you guys have? What kind of games, gaming platforms are you guys working with?
Yeah, so we've been pretty focused on sort of launching with the highest credible games that we can. Mm-hmm. We've just done a partnership with Buff Gaming. So that's a group that's a publicly listed gaming company that they're kind of like a loyalty engine for all of the tier 1 games. So Fortnite, all of the, I think there's 1,400 games on their platform. But so in agreeing with those guys to partner, we're directly integrating our Web3 wallet into their ecosystem. So that brings basically 16 million gamers to the forefront so that they're ready, willing, and able to play games. So for us, we've sort of taken it very carefully insofar as choosing the games we partner with. The first group we partnered with was Alluvium. Mm. So we are integrated and across all 3 games. There's actually 4 now. So that's Alluvium 0, then the overworld, and then the auto battler as well, the arena. And then now we're stepping into Ready Player One, so the Readyverse with Futureverse, the Third Kingdom, and then also the Promptopia, which you can see downstairs at the gaming arena.
You guys are, in a way, helping pioneer this, I think, for gaming, getting into Web3 and what you can do with, in-game assets. Where do you see the future of this going in the near term, but also maybe in the long term as well? Because it seems very promising.
So we do expect the industry to take off somewhere between the end of this year and next year's. We do know that there will be dozens of millions of players in the next 2 to 3 years. We are speaking about a potential billion industry. So most of the promising games are still under development now. When I say promising game, it's AAA games. There is really shooting games, FPS games, strategy games. There is many, many different games we are currently looking at. And most of them will be made available somewhere between the end of this year and the end of 2025. So we do think that somewhere in 2025, really, the market will take off.
Do you know how big that market is right now, or how much it's expected to grow dollar-wise?
As of today, we are only speaking about a few million of players, which, if you compare to a global mass market of players, of Web2 players and mobile phone players, is very, very, very tiny. But again, most of these AAA games will be released next year. So I don't have any number in mind, but I won't be surprised if the number increased by 1,000% for sure.
Are there other things that users, gamers could do with their assets with Polemos other than staking? Like, do you have any other plans for maybe different functionality for whether it's in borrowing and lending or whether it's doing something else with blockchain or tokens? I'm sure there's probably other ideas.
So we are working on some other services to bring in. One is, we call it the asset management or the GIL asset management. So we mentioned about the possibility to stake and borrow the asset, but you also have you do have different functionality of this asset in the games, and sometimes you can use the asset, like for example Illuvium Zero. In Illuvium, you can use the asset, which is a piece of land, to farm and create resources. These resources can be sold back in the ecosystem and share like a value between the person that is using that asset and the asset owners. So the GIL asset management is a feature where asset owners, they might be investors, they might be very good players, they might be a guild or communities, will be looking for players to play their asset for free. Then they're going to farm the resources of the games and they're going to share the result once these resources has been sold. We are also looking to bring way more functionalities. One is marketplace, where people will be able to buy and sell the assets, but we want to make sure that this is cross chains. Again, we want to bring as many games as possible, and we want people to be able to perform these actions on all the different chains. Later on, we are thinking to bring tournaments as well, organize tournaments for people to come to play.
Tournaments would be a good idea.
I think it's going to be quite fun. People to play tournaments in games, or maybe different games, or even assets that have interoperability that can be used in different games. That could be very fun as a tournament. And last and not least, we also we do partner with game. We kind of collect quite a lot of data. We are thinking to bring this data, cross it with AI, and probably work on a subscription model where people will be able to get some information about how to best use their asset in the games ecosystem. So that's kind of the services that we have identified right now that we are working on. There is way more things that we could do. We are thinking to consolidate all the rewards that you might be getting for the games, allowing players to swap these rewards, for example, as a token of another game, so they can, try to play and see if they like other games that are available in the ecosystem. So this is just one of the other examples that we are working on to really bring an ecosystem where players can perform a full set of actions.
Awesome. And this probably answered this question a little bit, but what does your guys' roadmap kind of look like? Finishing out Q4, some things you guys want to do or release, and then going into 2025, into the new year. things that you would like people to be aware of that might be curious?
So we are really looking to officially launch our ecosystem by the end of this month with Illuvium, and we are currently integrating Futureverse as well. It should be ready somewhere in October. We are looking to bring maybe 1 or 2 more games before the end of the years. We haven't chosen yet which one is going to bring in. But we clearly have the wish to accelerate on the number of games we have integrating in our ecosystem. Services-wise, today the lending and borrowing functionality is available on the Forge. We invite everybody to have a look and look at all the Illuvials that are already available. We are going to release by end of October or beginning of November the Guild asset management functionality that I was speaking about. That's kind of a roadmap until the end of the years. And we are also looking to bring more utility to our token, which we're planning to launch later this year. So people will be able to borrow and lend assets or use a Guild asset management by using the PLMS token that will be soon available.
If there's a gaming company or startup or studio out there, and I know there will be some that are watching this episode, are you guys working with any in particular? Is a certain niche? Can they be trading card companies, like digital trading card companies? Can they be full development gaming studios? Can they be AAA games potentially? What's kind of the aim in terms of who you want to attract?
Anywhere where there are high value assets that are collectible. We're ready to work with anybody that has assets in games that may or may not be readily available for people in developing countries, right? So we're sort of game agnostic. We don't mind, but really we're sort of more deeply focused on strategy games where the assets themselves become quite collectible. We've been working through, originally we had a partnership with NetEase. We were sort of talking to those guys on a monthly basis about what they were seeing across the various studios that they own. And then sort of moving down the line to today, where we're in discussions with a whole range of different parties. I think really we're sort of not so much focused on the sort of hyper casual games, right? Because for that type of genre of game, there's not really the collectability or the sort of scarcity in the assets that is where we sort of thrive.
When there is a good AAA games that we believe has the potentials, we are looking to integrate it. It could be a strategy game, it could be FPS games, it could be in some extent good card games. We are really looking to bring as many games as possible, games that are nice, fun to play, that has potentials.
There's people out there obviously that want to get started. Where should they go? And then also if they are a game, they want to get in contact with you guys, maybe they want to partner, collaborate, how can they also do that?
It's very easy to reach out to me. My Telegram is Polemos. We have there is a way to contact us directly on our website. We have a Discord that is quite active. We have a Telegram channel. So there is many different ways to reach out to us and connect with us. We usually answer quite fast and always happy to have a discussion.
I think just from a corporate perspective, just coming back to the roadmap discussion, we're currently at the point where we're about to go into the public sale. So originally we did a pre-seed and a seed round. Mm-hmm. Those rounds were led by Delphi, Framework, QCP, Golden Tree, IOSG. So there's a plethora of really cool, really solid supporting funds in there. We're moving into the public sale now sort of towards the end of this year. And so at the moment, we're just sort of gearing up for the KOL round. And then from there, if people want to get involved in the token, the public sale will be before Christmas this year.
What are you guys doing at Permissionless? Is the goal to, again, find more potential companies to work with, more games, networking, learning and growing alongside all of us, but anything in particular that you're hoping to get out of Permissionless while here?
From our perspective, we announced this morning the partnership with Buff Gaming. That was a big one for us. That brings 16 million gamers, obviously, to the table for Web3 gaming, which we wanted to get out there. We've done a gaming lounge here in collaboration with Illuvium and Futureverse, which has been really exciting. And then I think it's more about sort of onboarding people into the wallet, which Carl and the team have been focused on. So I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, it's really about communicating about who we are and what we're doing in the space. We have quite a lot of digital perks and giveaway of physical perks, so it's quite fun. We have been working on a few NFTs to give to the people that come to the gaming lounge, which they can use in the games. So it's really about knowing who we are, what we're doing, and what we're building in this Game Tree ecosystem.
Awesome, guys. It's been a pleasure having you on the show and learning about what you're doing. As a gamer myself, it's frustrating how much money I've poured into countless different games, and I'm never going to get anything out of that ever again. Maybe I will now. Who knows?
It's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning. So keep up the great work, guys, and let's do another episode in the future.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. It was a pleasure.
Likewise.
Great. Thank you so much.